Welcome, beautiful friends. Welcome to Living Nature's Essence, where we are giving voice to the unseen realms of nature and just really giving a platform to speak about nature and the magic that we can find in life. And today we have beautiful Zoe Eccles with us. Welcome, Zoe.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's such a joy to have you here. Zoe and I met via Instagram, and I loved your account, and there's just so much magic. I could just feel your beautiful the way you experience life through your pictures and your words. Zoe is a wonderful traveler and storyteller.
Thank
Amongst
you. Yeah, that means a lot to me. That's kind of what I'm trying to do, is just capture the magic, I guess. And the feeling is mutual. When I saw your pictures, oh my gosh, so beautiful, amazing, and really, really in touch with the fairy realms. I could tell straight away. I was like, who is this person?
Oh, that's so cool. And then recently you did a couple of videos speaking about the fairies, and sharing some of your stories about them, and tips on how to see them as well.
How to see fairies. Yeah, that was really interesting because that was the first time in about, I think, like 7 years that I had decided to come out and say unequivocally, I do believe in fairies. That's one of my beliefs. I really do believe. If you can hear people, it's okay. It's
okay.
The family I live with, they're wonderful. Yeah, and so that whole moment of here's my stories and here's what really happened, and it was kind of like a healing moment for me because it allowed me to take back a part of myself that I had been denying for a long time. So it was just wonderful altogether. But the response was amazing. I think a lot more people were receptive towards them now.
Yeah, it's so my experience too. I was so scared to begin to speak about it, but all that's happened is that I've just met more and more people that resonate with these realms and with these energies. It's so beautiful, isn't it?
That's amazing. It's so wonderful.
Yay.
Yeah.
So would you like to lead us just through a little dropping in moment where we can all breathe together?
That's a good word for it. Yeah, dropping in.
Coming into the body.
Exactly. Let's come into this moment, into this space. And I like to do this in my videos just personally. Before I start speaking, it calms me down because I'm a little bit nervous now. My heart's, and that's okay. It's nice to kind of feel that sometimes, know where you're at and not, go out and try and distract yourself. So if the watchers want to do this as well, I think it's just, for me, I like to do 3 breaths. And with each breath, really notice the breath, the in-breath and the out-breath. Mm-hmm. And you can say something, I am aware I'm breathing in, I am aware I'm breathing out. But if we take a moment, sitting still and come into the body, notice the contact between you and the seat, or if you're standing, you're in the ground. And begin by breathing in deeply and out. Breathing in, I am smiling. Breathing out, my body is smiling. Breathing in, I am here. Breathing out, I sense the world around me. And with that, it's kind of nice. You just feel a little bit more aware.
I love that. I love your words. That's beautiful. I feel really arrived now and calmer. And yeah, beautiful.
I felt that too. Yeah.
Yes, I felt like everything just settled and we just dropped in. So where will we begin with our chat? I feel like there's so much juiciness that wants to be shared today.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know, right? There's just so much. Like, my notes are crazy. I was like, I thought that we were talking an hour earlier, and then I was like, oh, I have time finally. Okay, so I was like writing down different ideas and things. And is there something that you want to start?
Well, firstly, yeah, I'd like to just hear a little bit from you about how you experience these realms, like the fairies and the trees. What's your experience when you go into nature?
Ooh.
If you can sum it up.
Intense. No, it's different every time, and that's the fun thing, I think, is I can't just assume. I have to, go in with a blank slate. Sometimes it's kind of, you don't know what will happen, and you can't say, this will be a good day, this will be a bad day, this will, be a day that I see them, or it's sometimes so random. There's days where, I think I'm having a terrible morning or something, and then I go out and just something really intense will happen. But how I experience them, it changes, because I know some people. I remember talking to you, and you were saying that you see them in a very similar way that I have, which is as wisps of light, and kind of like in the peripheral vision, little orbs and things. But I've also seen fairies and elementals in the form of shadows, which some people might think that's a a little bit odd. We tend to associate shadows with like ghosts, bad realms, things like that. But I've actually seen dryads out and about as shadows. Most of the time, though, here's the thing, because I'm talking about like physical sight. Most of the time, I don't see them physically. It's more in the third eye and the other realms, and you just get this sense. It's kind of like a projection on top of reality, or something like that.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I like what you say about them being in the shadows, because actually it's kind of how they are in a way, aren't they? They are in this hidden place from humanity at this time. So it makes sense that we kind of sense them and see them in the shadows.
It's interesting, because sometimes I've had a vision where I will see the physical shadow in real life, but I can actually sense what the thing is over top of that. So it's kind of like using both senses at once, I guess.
Yeah, totally. I really get that. It's a really do you kind of feel it? Like when I sort of sense them, it's a feeling and a vision that gets put over the top of what I'm seeing.
Definitely. Absolutely.
So I'd love to hear about your experience with the trees.
Oh, I've had quite a few different experiences with trees. And I just want to say, so most of my experiences are completely my own thing, because I have read a few books when I was younger, but I honestly don't know a lot about what other people are doing. So it's always exciting when I hear something, some synchronicity with other people's stories and things, because it feels to me like, a validation or something like that. And I've had a few people have similar experiences with trees and things, but the one that really stands out, that I think you watched this one. It was with a tree around my house back in New Zealand, actually. And I used to climb that tree a lot. We had a lot of fun together, me and that tree. Just like, I would go up there and often read books and things, but not too many things happened until one day when I was up in the branches, and I got this intense feeling that there was a vibration coming from the bottom of the tree.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I was like, whoa, what was that? I thought somebody was cutting the tree down. And I looked around and there's absolutely nobody there. And the vibration, it was pretty constant. So it felt like a pulse or something. But I didn't have time to think about it. I kind of got out of there really quick. I was like, what is that? And so I got out, checked, felt that it was still happening and I wasn't crazy. And I've had a lot of time to think about this. I really do think it was like the pulse of this tree.
Yeah, it reminded me, I think I said to you that the story of the Anastasia and the ringing cedars, maybe go and check that out, because there are these meant to be these really big cedar trees that ring, they vibrate.
Yeah, I've got that written down. Let me have a look.
Yeah. So do you feel like it was a communication with you? Like it was?
In some ways, I think, yeah, I think it was just a moment of clarity in some ways. You know, I think that sometimes the veil really drops and you are able to just experience things as they are. Or at least that's what my experience has been. And oftentimes it's when I'm not vulnerable, but the most embodied and in that moment and really just feeling life, you know? Like sometimes it's even when, have you ever had those days where you just feel so many feelings and you're out and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is a crazy kind of moment of all these feelings. But oftentimes it makes you more aware and you're out looking, you're actually looking as if everything is new. And that's kind of when I get these experiences.
Yeah, that's what I usually sort of think of that as seeing with childlike wonder. That's what that makes me think of. It's that just, that real presence and just being with what is, and like the mind drops away and you're just present with
exactly.
with what's really there, rather than what we're superimposing through our minds and through our ideas to be there.
I think we live a lot of our lives, you know, when we reach adulthood, we have had so many experiences that we feel the experiences are quite similar. And so we kind of drop away from them and think, you know, this is just the same, it's routine, it's boring. It's so easy to do that, especially in day-to-day life. You know, a lot of us want to escape like the day-to-day chores and things, but every moment is actually new and has some kind of new energy, new wisdom to be brought to it. And if we don't assume things, we can learn so much more just by being there. And that's where, oh my gosh, the fairies are so perfect for this kind of lesson, like calling in the fairy realms and really working with them to build your sense of childlike wonder, like you said, again. It can be so amazing what you learn, actually, because, you know, children, their minds are like they're turned on all the time. They're really thinking, they're learning, they're taking things in, and it's because they have this sense of every moment is new, and, you know, everything is a lesson, and we can really take a lot from that, I think.
Definitely. Yeah, that's really my experience with them. That's where they take me. Yeah,
you have that sense of childlike. When you laugh, it's like that. It's really like that. It's quite funny. I was watching one of your videos with the trees, actually, and you were just so in awe of it. I love that. I think we all experience that naturally, that sense of awe. And that's why, you know, humans are naturally drawn to the outside world. Like, if you look at people's love of nature and photography, even on Instagram, right? They love it and they want to go to these places. And I think it's because they feel in their hearts, like, this is real. This is where I'm supposed to be. This is divine almost.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't find it in the day to day usually. It's sort of, it's there, but it's hidden.
There, but it's hidden, definitely.
Yeah. We are nature, aren't we? I mean, we're made from the same stuff. So it's our home. It's where we come alive again. And there's so much conversation to be had, I think, between ourselves and our bodies and the outside world. And
that's interesting that you say that, because I think going back to the curiosity thing, it's like one thing I've been thinking recently is that instead of just taking on other people's missions or ideas, or a lot of us are very worried about the earth these days, and I understand that's totally, I mean, there's a lot going on. But instead of taking in everyone else's advice and ideas, one idea I had was to just stop for a moment and really begin to listen and ask, what is it Gaia wants from me? Because everyone has a purpose here, everyone has a way, and not everyone's way is the same. And there's so much, we could discuss with the earth individually and reconnect like our own relationship with her, and just asking, I think.
That's so, I've been having the same message coming through for
really?
just for myself in a way recently. It's almost like, I just want to go and listen. I feel like she's like, the land is calling me to just go and listen and to really drop away, to what we were saying earlier, to not go with all those preconceived ideas and just
definitely
just listen, and then we get to hear what she wants from us and what wants to move through us. That's so beautiful.
I love that.
Thank you for sharing that piece. I really love that.
Okay. And going back to the trees, just briefly, because so I'm looking at the tree outside. Actually, there's a really beautiful pine tree, and I like that one. But I have favorite trees and things, and I like to go to them, spend time with them. It's really nice. There's times where I definitely feel, their presence more and things, but one of the things I was guided to do recently was actually make a video, and it was kind of funny. I thought it was funny. I called it How to Be a Tree, and I really felt like the trees were guiding me to do this in some way, like the dryads of
so just for anybody who doesn't know what a dryad is, can you just explain it?
I think,
or your experience of it.
From what I know, in myth, ancient Greek myth, there were many different types of nymphs, and so they would be associated with different types of plants or spaces. So you could have, nymphs that were associated with springs versus the ocean, and one of those types, I think, was dryads. That's the ancient name for it, and that's specifically to do with tree spirits, because there's so many plant spirits, but I get the feeling that tree spirits are somewhat different. And if you read Lord of the Rings, it is a bit like that, the Ents. There's big, beautiful creatures that look like trees, and they have the, the different features and things. And that's how I've experienced tree spirits. I know Tolkien was actually taking that, a lot of his stuff from ancient myth as well. So
he was really tapped into these realms, I think.
So sometimes, this is getting personal, but there's one beautiful tree that I love to work with here, and actually the dryad of this tree gave me the wood for my staff. It's an apple tree, and she's beautiful. it's funny, sometimes when I see them in my mind's eye, they're totally random. It's like, you know, it happens in a split second. So I don't think I'm making it up. I think it's like this picture of this being that I just completely would not have guessed beforehand. And so she is really beautiful, quite old though, and black hair. Yeah, they all look different. I think.
And do they look humanoid, like a human? Do they have that kind of? Do they show themselves to you in that way?
Sometimes, yeah. It depends how they manifest, I guess, how they want to communicate and things. Because yeah, it's not always very clear, but they can look quite human. I think isn't it like that with everything? Because it's like, you know,
Well, they have to show us in a way that we can understand it. I think these realms are actually so other to ours that we can't quite. We need something that makes some kind of sense.
Exactly. It has to be within the realm of like how we, even individually, will best understand something. So sometimes it's like that with dreams as well. If you see something in a dream, it might be that they're showing you in a way that you can best understand it personally. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Thank you for sharing that. Is there anything else around the trees that you wanted to share?
I'm trying to think, because I guess the main thing that was coming through for me, and this was a while ago, I was really, really working with the trees, and it was actually these beautiful big oak trees that I kept going back to. And one of them, my favorite, actually had a bee's nest in it after. I used to go there all the time, and I went back after traveling, went up, found out there's a bee's nest, was like, whoa, okay, respectfully descended, and now I just have to stay at the base. But these trees that I've been going to, a lot of what they were talking about was this wisdom of rooting deep in order to grow taller. And that spoke to me on so many levels, especially at the time, because I was experiencing with a lot of people in this field, you know, new age kind of ascension stuff. A lot of people are trying to, I guess, spiritually bypass and leave parts of this realm because they feel that it's too hard, it's too icky, or something like that. But those trees, what they're talking about, the wisdom that they have to share with us, is a lot to do with, you know, you need to root deeper, get the nutrients from the earth in order to grow taller, so that we can, you know, connect both realms, kind of.
Yeah. And what do you think that looks like? What do you think they were suggesting? How, like, what is that on a practical level, do you think?
Oh, that's a good question, actually. It's easy to talk about, you know, all kinds of etherical, wonderful stuff. But on a practical level, I had a few tips that I kind of gave at the time, and a lot of it was to do with grounding. And you know, there's so many ways to ground, but the easiest way is just to take your shoes off, get your feet on the ground, earth. Other ways, though, are to become a lot more embodied, meaning be mindful, be in your body as much as possible in the senses. There's a beautiful little bird.
Oh, nice.
So sweet. And really coming back to yourself. And it can be quite difficult. A lot of people, when they first start this, I think it can be very difficult to stay mindful in that space, because you'll find that, you know, you're distracted. There's so many other things going on, and that's totally okay. But definitely, I've gotten into the habit of reminding myself quite a few times a day, whatever I'm doing, to be mindful, because it's nice to take the meditation practice that we do maybe every morning and move that into the actual daily life, you know, like everything becomes a meditation. Like with trees, the beautiful thing about trees is just by being a tree, by doing what it does every day, it is helping. And I believe that humans can be like that too. If we see every action we take as an opportunity to, you know, exhale, to give what we have to give, and do our best by it, I think that's a wonderful way to live, maybe.
That's so beautiful, and I so love that the such simple wisdom that comes from the trees and comes from nature, but it's profound and life-changing as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I love what you said as well about like coming into the body more and the senses, and because that's kind of where it all happens, isn't it? It's right here.
So true. Yeah, definitely. I think, like, as far as I know, some of the only ways we have to engage with the world is through the senses. So if we want to be engaged, we have to be in the senses in some way. Of course, there's imagination. And I was writing about that earlier. I was like thinking about, you know, it's important to have that balance and kind of dream and have those things, but it's definitely a balance. You have to have both.
I'm just getting this sense actually of like, oh, it is like another sense though, isn't it? Like the imagination and dreaming, because you can project yourself into another realm and you're still experiencing it like here in your, but it's just, yeah, that makes sense.
Quite wonderful. I've been having a lot of I've been doing a lot of work with dreams, and like, this is off topic, but it's interesting.
It's all related. I think it's just all related. That's what I love about this topic, because it's just about being human. Like these realms teach us about how to be human on Earth.
Yeah, definitely.
So for me, it doesn't really go off topic. So yeah, tell us about your dreams.
I like that. That is perfect. Well, I've been looking into, I think it's ancient Tibetan methods of dreaming. And I'm going to pronounce this wrong. I think it's called Milam, Milam. And if anyone wants to look into that, it's really beautiful. It's a way to move even beyond lucid dreaming, because I've, you know, experienced like lucid dreaming, but to begin to work with your dreams and use that time, I guess, and kind of see what can come of it. And there's different steps, different ways to do it, and one of them is even meditating in dreams, which is pretty intense.
Wow.
But yeah, I get this sense like recently that even dream worlds, even though they're so ephemeral, you know, momentary, they don't exist for a long time, they're still just as real as reality, because if it's here, if it's on Earth, or if we can experience it in some way, it is real, definitely.
Yeah, we're having an experience, aren't we? And we can gain wisdom and experience. So yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
and that's in some ways how I think of the fairies, because, you know, a lot of people will say, well, are they really real? But if in some way you can experience them, then yes.
absolutely.
Of reality, so yes.
Yeah, nice. So is there anything else that you feel, what else were we going to speak about? Do you remember?
Okay, so when we were last speaking, for the audience, we were actually having a little chat the other day. It was so wonderful. And Layla, are you Layla or Layla May?
Layla. May is my surname.
Oh, that's really sweet. That's quite lovely. Well, Layla was saying something about how funny it was, because she was contacted by a guy who was talking about, was it fairies, like the fae or the elementals, and sensuality?
Yeah, we were talking about the lower chakras, and he was saying that he had perceived from the videos that it was all quite higher chakras, and like heart and innocence and perception. And I love this. It was really made me want to talk and explore more about connecting with the elementals through the lower chakras and through So we were talking about like the sensuality of it all.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to say about the chakras. Okay, so I went to a Reiki class recently, and it was beautiful, amazing, amazing people. But it was quite funny because when they were doing, they were using one of those singing bowls, but you could turn it upside down and hold it over each chakra. And every single person in that room, there must be like 20 of us, everyone had all of their, energy wound up or unreleased in their lower chakras. Everyone was totally free with the upper ones. I think a lot of us here are all so wonderful at that. We're like, we're connected, we're flowing. But, the upper realms are very intellectual, and it's quite easy for us to engage with that. I think for a long time, the earth has been in this phase of male intellectual energy.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. We've learned so much. We've, made so much, created things. But there's something to be said for this goddess movement that's happening that a lot of people are feeling, and that's like really rooting down, I believe, like getting right down into the lower ones, and that's to do with feeling, really. Because if you think about it, the top ones is like seeing and knowing and expressing, thinking. This is all feeling, and feeling doesn't have like as many words. That's what I found.
It's
more
the word messier comes in as well.
It can be messier. It can be crazy, actually. It's funny. When I started all this research, it was quite random, and I started at the root. I was kind of exploring the chakras a lot more, and I began in Iceland, of all places, so perfect for that, with the root. And it was quite an awakening. It was so interesting because I realized while I was there that, this goddess energy, the female, is not so sweet and innocent as she is, but she's both. She is Kali as well. She is that fire and the storm and the rage.
The passion. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So getting down and rooted, a lot of us, I think, are overgoing our feelings if we feel that they are bad. And this is to do with, I think, our sacral chakra a lot as well. So we don't want to sense those, overwhelming fears, anxieties, or greed or jealousy, things that are innately human. And it's not that we have to get stuck in them, but definitely to acknowledge them, I think, in their place in this world. I was actually really random. I was talking with a friend recently about vampires, and this is kind of related to the fairy realm, and she had the most wonderful things to say. This is actually Karis. Do you know Karis?
Oh yeah, I've kind of got plans to interview her, hopefully. I have connected with her,
Amazing. She has so much to say.
Yeah.
But she really opened my mind, because I've been having all these experiences about vampires. And that's a little bit scary, of course. Some people don't, want to interact with these things, and that's fine. But what she had to say was, possibly at one point vampires actually had a purpose, because if you think about it, leeches, things like that, they were actually used, and they're still used to draw bad blood. Like things that we need to be taken from us can be drawn out in that way. And so just like spiders have a purpose, things like that, is that kind of taking of the energy that is no longer needed. But perhaps over time vampires were not so liked or something, and they had to start.
The word demonized comes, like many earth beings have been demonized.
Yes.
So like Pan got turned into the devil.
Yeah. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just that whole realm of, it's possible that vampires maybe even began to do that because we were demonizing them. And when I just talk about vampires, it could be energetic, it could be people who are actually doing such things, it could be, you know, completely up to you, whatever you believe. But when I was in Romania, oh my gosh, it felt like they were vampires.
Wow.
There really did seem to be some kind of energies there that were vampiric. And yeah, Karis had this just wonderful thing to say, like, instead of seeing them in that way, we can shift our perspective and perhaps offer them the opportunity to take from source or something like that. So that's just,
do you mean like as a healing, like to ask them to like take what we no longer want?
yeah, she said she had a friend who had this kind of energy, and the friend, she did this little beautiful ceremony with a friend where Karis had something she wanted to be taken, and the friend took it. And that that is interesting in itself. You know, there is a use for everything.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
not
it's just energy at the end of the day as well.
exactly
Like with the earth, and we like going down, like you were saying about going down into the lower chakras. I mean, from what I've seen as well, it's like the earth loves to take our dark stuff. Like she's like, I mean, if you think about the system of the earth, it composts everything. So like I've seen, like I kind of get this sense of like the gnome energies and stuff, they come and take our energy, and it's just energy to them. It's us that labels it and judges it, and so they're just like shifting and changing it. And yeah,
that's so true. Like if we have, you know, some kind of issue, I mean, the earth's abilities are intense. Like I once did this this study of time, and over the whole course of history, I made this kind of calendar for my mom, and it really informed, like, it just changed my life to do that. If anyone wants to do that, do it. Like, look into it, because you know the amount of changes that earth has undergone and the fact that it's still here, I think we really undervalue the earth. And you know, it's a question of saying, like, do we really think the earth is sick, or are we, you know, needing to just reflect on how we are affecting ourselves? Because a lot of us these days tend to think that, I guess, we're the be all and the end all. But when I did that study, I mean, the earth has, you know, there was a time where the bacteria in the oceans produced so much, I think oxygen actually, that the earth couldn't handle that, and like created, I think it was an ice formation around the whole planet. I'm gonna get this wrong, but there were times where literally the carbon dioxide and oxygen levels were still shifting because of other organisms, not just humans, creating these things, and she survives.
yeah.
All of it.
She said to me once, she's like, I'm a master manifester. You know, it's like I can create what, you know, I know how to create and look after myself. And it's yes, it's us that it's us that we need to look at what we do and our relationship to the earth.
I think it's more of an opportunity almost. It's kind of like this beautiful awakening that's happening and an opening. So it's quite a big opportunity through transformation and crisis and things.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back though to what I was saying about the root chakras, because there were a few things about that I wanted to mention. And so in terms of the fairy realms as well, so when I was working on the different chakras, and I started at the root, went up to the sacral and then the solar plexus, and these ones were just so interesting to familiarize myself with and detox and, you know, go through all this stuff. And one of the things that kind of came up is, like, with that sacral chakra, the ability to be sensual, taking that back, especially as women, is so important. And the fairies were really prevalent at that time for me, especially, here's the funny thing, oh, you're gonna hear a plane, especially mermaids.
Yes. Yeah.
when you were talking about how we've demonized these beings for so long, I think one of the things that fairies have experienced is that demonification of sensuality. If you think back, you know, so many tales about nymphs and sirens in the Greek times were about sensuality, I guess, and especially Artemis and all her nymphs. I mean, they were very sensual creatures. But then you get to the times of Christianity, and of course, sensuality wasn't as divine, maybe.
Yeah.
um, and these beings began to be seen as quite unnatural or sinning almost. There's a lot of
Yeah.
stories of monks. I don't know if you've read Monks and Mermaids. I don't know what it is, but the
Oh,
temptress, you know, with the beautiful hair and everything, she's amazing, obviously, but this whole idea that we need to like resist
yeah.
has been going on for so long. I think a lot of us are really dissociated from our own sensuality and we're coming back into that now, and the fairies can be there for us during this time for that kind of movement.
I love
What
that.
do you think? I don't know. This is
Yeah,
just
no, totally. And I'm just like, as you're talking, it's like what I'm seeing is just that cutoff. Like, where if we lose our sensuality, then we do really lose a large part of our connection to life, to the natural world, to the life force that flows through us. Like, we just cut it all off. And you know, I really believe that there was a time when Christianity came in, and people were cut off from their source of divinity, and that's messing around with sexuality and sensuality.
of course, no, you know, not bad mouthing Christianity, because it has its beautiful things too. And I know you're not, but I'm just
Absolutely.
like making sure nobody
Absolutely.
thinks.
No, I think for me, like where I've done bits of research and reading about that shift, when the shift happened in this country, I think with paganism, because that was very strong and people were very connected to the land through that. And then when Christianity came in, it distorted people's relationship to the land.
To the land,
So
yeah.
yeah.
We've experienced that on so many levels, I think, with especially, you know, with industrialization and the movements of peoples away from the original source of their food and things. And that's like, it's all interlinked, because sensuality, you know, when you can reconnect with your food, your taste, your sense of because you consume things every day, obviously, and that is our direct connection with the earth. We literally become the earth, like, or she becomes us in some way. When we can reconnect in that sense, we are doing the work that you know, the work that we need to do is like that the ancients did in some way, and knowing that, really loving it, feeling it.
Totally. Because it brings joy, doesn't it? Sensuality brings joy, it brings pleasure, it brings such a deep connection to life. I mean, for me, the wind, when I feel the wind, it just takes me somewhere. And the trees as well. I spent quite a bit of time in some fields yesterday, and then I went and stood at the edge of the forest, and I didn't go in because I was with friends and they were all in this field, but just the energy coming off the trees, it was definitely base chakra. Base chakra, sacral, you know, it was just like the connection, totally. It's so alive. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, it's so alive. Nature is so alive.
Yeah.
So I had a little question that kind of came. And just so around this topic with the fairies, like, how do you, I don't know if you can answer this, but how do you think they support us and can help us in this area?
In terms of sensuality and things?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, the thing that I know, like, because I think everyone's journey is so personal, and
Mm-hmm.
things. And what I found, like when I was really going through these shifts and working with the sacral chakra, I just wanted to be in water all the time. Like
Mm-hmm.
I felt like so much of this mermaid energy, and it was really like, you know, the siren call like to the water. And it makes sense. I mean, the water is like our origins, right? Our mother's womb, but really like the oceans where we came from.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like giving myself time to be in the water or even just be in nature, that helped a lot. And giving myself time to kind of like listen, hear whatever creatures were around had to say. Yeah, but in terms of how they're there to help, I think it's always personal, isn't it? Because
Totally.
we were talking about how you not possibly, I think you really do have a bunch of fairies in your house.
Yeah, totally do.
And we're all going to work with different spirits and different beings. So whatever works for you, you know, that's the thing. It's all intuitive. What works for you might not work for somebody else. So listen, really dig deep, get to know what works for you.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for putting that piece in. It's so important, isn't it? That's it's like one of the biggest things I think that we need to learn is that we each have an individual path, and it goes back to what we were saying at the beginning about being informed by the land and by nature, and I really feel the elementals support us and the fairy realm support us in that. Yeah, discovering more of who we are and what we enjoy, and
I think even meditating on the wisdom that they share, even if you don't feel their presence in your life, or because some people are, you know, like, how do I see fairies, or how can I invite them into my life? Definitely just sitting and meditating on that actual wisdom that they have to offer can be a huge step in, or can offer you a lot already. It doesn't always have to be some like huge revelation, you know, like
no, it usually is just very simple, and yeah nice.
Because it's easy, I think, in this realm and like in this field, it's easy to look at those people who are just so into it, and you're like, whoa, I don't know anything about this. But really, it's nice to remind yourself that you already do, because it's actually quite simple. It doesn't have to be so complex, you know. It can be lovely, but the simplicity of it is just amazing, you know. It's really, in the end, it's really just about these plant beings and elemental beings and things, and you and the earth, and
just go out and feel. Totally. And I think that's what I loved about your videos. It was just the tips on how to connect to the fairies. It's just really simple everyday things that everybody can do, and it might just take time. I think just that willingness to open up to these realms, and to a willingness to connect more with your body, and to be out in nature and just to feel, and to let go of the mind a little bit.
And like, if people have the inclination, because some people are more kinesthetic, or, you know, they learn visually, or one of the things, because I'm a visual learner and I interact very visually, like that's the reason I called I didn't know it at the time, but I called my website Life Gazing, like looking. And for me, one of the things that has really helped is nature journaling. So going out and sketching and kind of being engaged through this sense of looking, and then like recording images. There's always, you know, practical ways, like however that might be. Some people might feel the urge to sing. I know my sister. She loves to sing, and that's her way of engaging with the world.
Beautiful. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for everything. I feel like we could just talk for another hour.
I know, right? Wait, how long have we been talking?
I think it's coming up. I think it's about 50 minutes or something. It's
Wow.
It's so easy. It's so easy.
I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm gonna say. This is the first time I've done anything like this, and I was so like, overwhelmed and excited. But definitely, it's easy talking, to you. It feels very friendly.
With you too. Yeah, really easy, and it's really yummy. So is there anything you'd like to sort of end the interview with, like any last pearl of wisdom or
I think. I guess maybe not so much wisdom, but I wanted to mention, if anyone out there is kind of interested, so it's long term, it's in the future, but I have these plans because a lot of my recent years, maybe, since my reawakening, I've been reconnecting with a lot of starseed souls and people who feel these connections to the other realms. And I've been trying to figure out where I sit with things and what my work is. And it's been a long journey, but I've gotten to this place of knowing kind of what it is I'm here to do. It's really exciting. And if anyone is interested, next year, I'm going to be traveling again. I've traveled a lot over the past 5 years. I'm stationary right now. I'm with my husband in his parents' household. And we're getting ready for another trip. We're going to be going all over the US, and I'm going to begin this new thing, which is kind of gathering people into space, because I have just this love for space. Spaces, nature, obviously, sacred sites, and love for people. I really want to bring them together. And, we talk about star seeds. I really want to bring these seeds in and kind of plant them in these spaces in some way, bloom together. So whether it's a day or whether it's a retreat, because I am planning a retreat in Iceland, actually. We'll talk about that in a sec. And yeah, whether it's a day or whether it's longer, I kind of want this sense of like coming together, sharing stories, and being in this space, planting some ideas for the future, basically, and then scattering everyone off to their different places to be pillars of light, because everyone has such wisdom to share. I don't have all the pieces of the puzzle, but I know people who have this amazing piece and that piece, and I want to bring them
beautiful
together. And about Iceland, I am going back to Iceland. Actually, I think it will be next October, so in about a year, and we're gonna do a little gathering over there, a retreat kind of thing with the fairies, actually, because I had such great experiences when I was there, and it's just going to be magical. We're going to go to the dwarf rocks, the elf rocks, everything, but also it will be a time to like reconnect with the earth as well, and I'm just so excited for that.
Oh, that just sounds really, really magical and yummy. Yeah,
it's so great because it's kind of combining all my great loves. It's like I finally found, I don't know, because you do amazing work, obviously, and just that feeling of like, this is it, because I used to study history, and well, I still do, actually. I worked as a tour guide, a gardener. Now I'm a seamstress at the moment, but creative things. And then also I just got the sense that you know, I wanted to work with space. Whenever I would study, it would be about sacred spaces. And then, you know, this work that I've been doing with people recently, it's kind of combining all of that into one big, beautiful thing. So, yay, that's
exciting. Oh, well, I'm sure, I kind of want to be there.
Oh my God, Layla,
I'd
you
love to go to Iceland.
Oh my gosh, you should actually.
Yeah.
It's going to be a bunch of like wonderful women, and we'll just.
Oh, it'll be beautiful. Oh, thank you for sharing it here. And it's great because it gives people time to feel into it and to find this video, and hopefully, yeah, like.
Well, even just saying things like that, sometimes I feel like
seeds it.
the courage to say it makes it more real, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
yeah, casting your spells.
Yeah. So, well, no, but thank you so much for giving me space to like blabber away about these things.
Oh,
And
it's been really lovely.
I hope we can talk again sometime soon. I'm like always thinking of new ideas. You never know.
Great. Watch this space then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll post links below to all of your website and your YouTube channel, and people can find you and connect with you and read your stories, because they're so beautiful, and your images, oh, it's just yummy, really inspiring. I'm so inspired by you at the moment. It's great.
And I'll do the same for you, because I think I'll
bless you.
this on my channel. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Oh, well, thank you so much for being here, and thank you to all of you for watching, and yeah, may you all go and find some magical beings to play with. So much love, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye.